Hi, class. Welcome to Communication 310, Public Speaking. I'm your instructor, Emily Montagnier. Now, here's a quick review of my credentials. I graduated from UL, first with a Bachelor of Music, and later with a Master of Science in Communication degree, focusing specifically on advertising and broadcasting. Now, in my professional career, I've worked at the radio station KRVS as well as the TV station KATC TV3. And I also have worked as a book and periodical editor, working with some of the people at UL as well as in some other places. Now, for this class, of course, as you should know by now, we did start remotely. I should have an update from the university by January 28th. If you're going to miss class for any reason, please contact Student Services. They'll send me an email with any information. If you really want to contact me personally as well, you can send me an email with any appropriate paperwork for whatever situation is happening. If you have questions about something, send me an email. We can also schedule a Zoom meeting via email. I am available to meet with students. Most of the time, I can work around whatever other schedule I have in order to meet you online, or if or when hopefully we return to in person, I will be able to speak with people before or after class as well. And of course, whenever we are in the classroom or if we meet virtually in the virtual classroom, I want to remind everyone to maintain a level of common courtesy. Make sure if you offer any critiques that they are constructive, and also that you have any distractions removed. That means avoiding online shopping, or maybe, making sure that you are present and aware whenever we meet online or in person. Now, your required materials, you do need to register for this course on Top Hat. It provides your textbook as well as your chapter quizzes. And you do need to access this course on Moodle and have a way to access everything online. I would prefer you to use Zoom. And whenever we do any sort of meetings on Zoom, you would need to have both audio and video. And sometimes you will need to make recordings as well. I recommend using Zoom. It's a very easy way to record yourself online, especially if you need to give any kind of presentation. Now, an overview. In this class, we are reviewing the basics of public speaking. That means speaking online as well as giving presentations in person. Whenever you give your presentations, of course, you are going to give informative and research speeches. And of course, you're going to learn what makes a speech effective. And in order to learn what is effective, of course, you have to learn the parts of a speech and what kinds of speeches people give. Whenever you are figuring out how to give your speeches, one of the first things you're going to learn is how to do research. And that means finding fact-based, reliable sources, whether they are online or in print, or maybe in videos or podcasts. And you're going to learn how to find recently published sources. So not something from 1998. I'm talking about some real 2022 sources, maybe 2021, depends on your research topic. But most importantly, by looking up these reliable sources and reviewing recently published information, it'll help you gain confidence about your topics and help you overcome an anxiety you may have about speaking in public. And another way you're going to learn how to speak in public is by practicing. And that means speaking online as well as in person. And of course, practicing using any kind of visual aids you need, whether it's a slideshow format or maybe using some kind of video or whatever you need to use in order to get your point across to your audience. And of course, another part of learning about speeches is reviewing speeches. This will mean analyzing famous speeches and different techniques, as well as reviewing yourself and your classmates to see what is working and what isn't working. But most importantly, whenever you are giving speeches, remember to be yourself and to forgive any mistakes because po body's perfect. Now, my grading scale is I grade based on a 10-point scale. Now, it's, of course, starting with 90 to 100, 80 to 89, 70 to 79, and 60 to 69 is going to be a D, or if you're 59 or below, then you're in the F category. And here's another breakdown of how the grading is going to happen. I do use a weighted grading scale. And what that means is your presentations are going to have the highest weight. So they're going to account for 40% of your grade. Speech analyses are 25%. Top hat quizzes, so the quizzes at the end of each chapter, are also going to be 25%. And attendance and participation are 10% of your grade. So everything adds up. A lot of times, if someone maybe didn't do as well as they'd like on a couple of presentations, completing those top hat quizzes or having a really good analysis or making sure that they attend every class, that they log in and, check that box on Moodle will push their grade up from a B to an A. So make sure you're doing that you're completing all of the assignments, and you should do well. Now, what do you do for attendance? Well, when we're in person, you show up. Make sure you're signing in on Moodle and that you're participating. I do reserve the right to offer pop quizzes or adjust different things. Most of the time, though, what you're going to do is sign in on Moodle and log into attendance. That'll be right now while we're online, as well as later whenever we go in person. So make sure that you review the attendance video. And if you still have any questions about it, send me an email. Now, top hat quizzes are at the end of each chapter. They are timed, so you have 60 minutes to complete it. That's 1 hour. And they are open book, so you should be able to go back and review the chapter, see if anything in there is like if there's something where you're confused about a question, go back, review that part of the chapter, and then answer the question. As long as you've at least reviewed the material before you start the quiz, you should be okay. And presentations, most of the time, following directions, it will get you about 90% of the way to your goal. Make sure you review your materials whenever you turn them in. Make sure you're turning in your outline if you need an outline. If it was something where you used a slideshow or you had a video link, include those pieces of information, include those materials whenever you turn in everything, and you should be okay. Especially make sure while we're doing these recorded videos that you have a link to your YouTube recording. I can't review it if you don't post it for me. And of course, I can't review your outline if you don't turn it in, or if you were supposed to turn in a paragraph about something, make sure you're turning in that paragraph. So, again, review what you're turning in, make sure everything's there. And if you need to adjust something, you should be able to go back and save a new version until the deadline. Now, speech analysis, I do have a grading rubric provided in Moodle. There are, we are going to review some famous speeches as well as each other's work. So make sure that you're checking over the rubric, that you're using it whenever you are reviewing different speeches, and that and whenever you're grading your classmates. Now, what do I mean when I talk about constructive criticism? The majority of constructive criticism, it starts by pointing out what someone does well. So if they do one part well, let's say they're really great at highlighting their main points, then you might start with that, and then point out some things that they can do a little better. Maybe they could improve the type of chart they included with their material, or you didn't quite understand one of the points they made. So maybe say, like, if they could explain something in a different way, it would be easier for you to understand. And of course, make sure that you are actively listening to people whenever they're speaking. This can be hard sometimes, especially if you aren't particularly interested in a topic they're discussing. But remember, that's kind of part of life. Sometimes people aren't going to talk about things that interest you, or maybe you'll actually listen to it and discover a new passion for yourself as well. So take notes whenever people are speaking, and engage in Q&A after presentations are done, and see what kind of helpful advice you can offer. Of course, one of the best pieces of advice whenever you are supposed to offer it to others is think about what would help you. If you were this person and you noticed something, like, I would want someone to tell me if I have spinach in my teeth, and find a positive way to go about offering information to help them. Now, questions and feedback, you are able to email me. We can set up any Zoom meetings if you want via email. And if you have a couple of quick questions, send me an email. I'm usually pretty good about responding, but again, don't email me the day something is due and expect me to immediately respond. I do have other things I have to do outside of class, so I may not be available right away. And all of your grading will be on Moodle. You will be able to see your attendance, turn in your attendance there, and turn in your presentations on Moodle. All of your textbook quizzes are going to be on Top Hat. And of course, like every other instructor has probably told you, plagiarism will not be tolerated. Whenever I'm talking about plagiarism, I mean having your classmates write things for you. Copying sources and not accurately citing them is also a big no-no. I do know how to look things up, and I unfortunately have had to cite people for plagiarism before. Please make sure you are including your sources, that you're including information correctly, and that you're following any guidelines I give you for projects. And one of those guidelines, of course, is a deadline. I do not accept late assignments, period. If you miss a deadline, sorry, that's the reason it's a deadline. Is this is the one time when everyone is required to turn this thing in. So make sure that you are following those deadlines, that you're turning in everything, that you're citing your sources where they need to be cited. If you have questions about something, email me. I will do my best to help you. Of course, I won't do it for you, but I will offer any guidance that I can. And again, this is my email address. So send me an email if you have any more questions. And a quick review of your homework. Friday, January 21st, you should have completed your chapter 1 quiz and also turned in your introduction presentation. If you look on Moodle, I do have an example listed in the introduction presentation area, as well as an example video in your video links. And looking ahead to Friday, January 28th, you'll need to complete your chapter 2 quiz by then, as well as your first analysis. And I will be able to offer an update regarding in-person attendance, how we're going to move forward in the class. I'm waiting to hear from the university to see what they're deciding before I'm able to offer that information. So we'll get an update by then. And I hope you have a great weekend.